Venice during Carnival. It's chaotic and surreal. It's also one of the oldest festivals in the world. But behind the costumes and crowds, there's a deeper story. A story about identity, rebellion, disguise, freedom, tradition. Venice and Carnival weren't just designed for beauty. They were creative responses to difficult times. We spent 4 days exploring the city when it comes most alive. This is what it was like to visit Venice during Carnival. We took the train from Milan and arrived at Santa Lucia Stazione, or Santa Lucia Station. There, Venice greets you immediately with turquoise canals, stone bridges, and masked vendors lining the streets. We stayed above a restaurant in Cannaregio, near the old Jewish ghetto, a quiet, historic district where Venice's Jewish community was once confined, starting in the 1500s. It's actually where the word ghetto originates. After the fall of the Roman Empire, people fled to these marshy islands to escape barbarian invasions. They drove wooden poles deep into the lagoon floor, building entire islands on top. Over time, those poles petrified, forming the foundation of the city we see today. I've been to other canal cities like Amsterdam, but nothing really compares to Venice. It already feels like it's performing the second you step off the train, which makes it the perfect backdrop for Carnivale, or Carnival. But it's worth remembering that this is a real city. People live here. It's not a resort, it's not a theme park. So being respectful to the place and the people who live there should come first. Carnivale comes from Latin, carne lavare, meaning farewell to meat. It began as a final celebration before Lent, a last indulgence before 40 days of fasting. In Venice, it evolved into something else. By the late 1700s, people were wearing masks for months at a time. Not just for parties, but for daily life. It gave them anonymity, which is more than just a hard word to say. You could go to the theater, you could go to a gambling house, you could meet up with somebody who you're not supposed to be seen with. Social roles blurred. Everyone, for a little while, was on equal footing. Venetian masks weren't just for decoration. They were a tool for social freedom. They let people step outside of their identity, beyond gender, class, or reputation. It's about letting go of who you're supposed to be and becoming whoever you want to be. The city became a stage. That tradition still lives on. There are elaborate costumes, street performers, pop-up brass bands, impromptu parades, one we ran into by accident as we were walking down the street. Some events are ticketed, but most of the magic happens while you're walking down the street, spontaneously. Yes, of course, it was crowded. It's Carnivale in Venice. Of course it's gonna be crowded. But it wasn't as bad as I expected it to be. A few Italians warned us not to go. It'll be packed, they said. Someone told us to book restaurants weeks in advance. Maybe lucky for me, I'm not really a fine dining type of a person. I would be, but my budget doesn't really support anything with a white tablecloth. But we ate really well, and I'll share some of those places in a minute. First, let's talk about the big attractions. St. Mark's Square and the Basilica are two of the must-sees. St. Mark's Square, or Piazza San Marco, is the heart of Carnivale. It's technically Venice's only piazza. The other squares are called campos. Napoleon once called Piazza San Marco the drawing room of Europe. This is where you'll see a lot of the big elaborate costumes and major performances. The Basilica di San Marco is free to enter. Inside is covered in golden mosaics. They shimmer across the domes in a mix of Byzantine and Venetian architecture. Go early or late to avoid lines. Timing can make a difference. We went pretty late in the day, closer towards sundown. And if you didn't know, Carnivale is during the winter, so the days are shorter. The sun goes down a little sooner, but the sun sets behind Piazza San Marco and the light hits the Basilica. If you're like us and you're interested in painting, in case you didn't know, Agostina, my wife, and I met in art school. We both studied painting.
He was a humanist.
I'm a humanist. So naturally, we couldn't skip the Peggy Guggenheim collection in the Dorsoduro neighborhood. Peggy was an American art collector. She moved to Venice in 1949. She supported artists like Pollock, Kandinsky, Calder. There's also a Francis Bacon there that I really love. It's tucked at the end of a hallway where most people just walk right past it. So if you happen to be there, don't miss that one. The museum is her former home. It's small but curated, with galleries inside and a sculpture garden in the front. There are also sculptures on the back terrace that opens out onto the Grand Canal. There is one fairly provocative sculpture. that is hard to miss, so heads up for that one. But the whole museum takes about 90 minutes to go through, so you don't need a whole day. But get your tickets online before you go. Now, what and where to eat? Venice is famous for cicchetti. These are kind of like a Venetian style of tapas. I know I'm gonna get shit for that in the comments. But they're small plates that you get at a wine bar. These wine bars are called Bacari. Creamed cod, fried polenta, marinated veggies, tiny little sandwiches. Locals stand and eat with a glass of wine or a spritz. We found Osteria al Portego and did just that. It was popular and the food was really good. And we had some good conversation with some other people who were standing there at the bar as well. For more of a formal sit-down dinner, we really liked Bacaro Quebrado. It's small, cozy, and delicious. We ran into an Italian couple there that we had met earlier in the day when we were in line for one of the galleries. And as we were going in, they said, si mangia bene, si mangia bene. And it was true. We did. We ate very good. For lunch, there's a place called Corner Pub, and it's actually right around the corner from the Guggenheim Museum. I know, it doesn't sound Venetian, but it was a surprise. There were great paninis, good prices, cold beer, a view out the window, right over top of a canal. What more can you ask for? Try Cannaregio or Dorsoduro neighborhoods. From the limited research that I've done, seems like they're a little bit more local, less touristy, and a little bit cheaper. We did a little Bacaro tour that night, but I didn't film much because I was busy enjoying life. So that's all I gotta say about that. Getting lost is normal and part of the experience of Venice. Venice has more than 400 bridges and a labyrinth of small alleyways. GPS cuts out often, or at least mine did. When you're ready to find your way again, you can follow the yellow signs to the major landmarks like Piazza San Marco or the train station. In the end, I thought it was interesting that Venice was built as an escape from invasion, and Carnival was built as an escape from control. Both were born from challenge and shaped by creativity. When we left, I felt grateful. I felt grateful for the city's endurance, for its beauty, for its chaos and creativity, for the tradition that still lives on. If you can look past the crowds and see the soul of Carnival, you'll find something special. And if I get the chance to go back, I definitely will. If you liked this, then check out the video I made here on the Cinque Terre. I think you might like that too. Consider subscribing. Likes always help. If you've been to Venice or you plan to go, leave me a comment. Let me know what surprised you the most or what you're looking forward to doing. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. All right, peace.